We better take this music off. Happy New Year, it's CF. It's first day of 2020, the new decade and all that shit. And I'm toasty, as I'm sure a lot of you are. Probably still recovering from last night. Myself, I didn't go out. Actually was in bed. I went to bed at 10:20. Of course, I was awakened at midnight. The only complaint I'll say is that someone in this vicinity has some really illegal fireworks, and they just every now and then they set off this explosion that it basically just sounds like a bomb. It shakes my house. And they blew one up earlier last year at 4th of July and actually caused some damage. Caused a picture to fall off my wall, and I didn't notice it until later that it had knocked a piece of pottery also off of a shelf that you know where you have these places that you don't look at a lot. Anyway, Happy New Year, and I am enjoying my afternoon and thought I would share with you because I got the music going, and I think that's what will be fun to share is just some music. I'm listening to some music. What I was playing when I stopped is Alan Stivell. I cannot speak intelligently about him at the moment. I would have to reread up on him. I have several of his albums. He plays this Celtic harp. He's well known for what he does. And I love this music. I love folk music of all types. This just is, I don't know, something about it I really enjoy. Part of what got me going to go ahead and talk to you for a second, however it comes out, is that these last couple of days I have been spending a fair amount of time on Facebook. Socially, at times, it's really quite enjoyable. Most of the time it is, depending on how you use it. But then your feed, depending on what's going on with people, you know what I mean? You're assaulted with people's shit. But these last couple of days have been fun. A lot of music. And Roger Simonson, who is a VC member and avid music collector and friend from Lincoln, showed where he had gone to Barnes & Noble. The bookstore is having a half-price vinyl sale. I didn't know. So he didn't know, and he was catching the tail end of it, but he got a couple of good records. Enough to the point that it made me think, well, there's probably not much there, but there's one not that far from me, at the crossroads, and I'm not really doing nothing today, and it just got me to me. I said, well, shoot, let me go. And I did, thankfully, find two things. And I stopped there, because there's another Barnes & Noble further out west, and I said, this is enough, I'm not going out. But I'm happy with and that's what got me to playing some records today, so I'll show these and what else I've been playing before I went out, because it's a chill day. I'm still drinking coffee at 1:50 in the afternoon. Since these were half price, they were like $12.50 a piece. So I got Esperanza Spalding's Emily's D+Evolution, which came out about 5-6 years ago now. Brilliant musician, fantastic human being, beautiful woman, very creative, hell of a bass player. And of course I was familiar with the single from this, Good Lava, well, the video, that very psychedelic video. I've heard most of the album, plus what she's done since it and other things, because she's played with a lot of folks. Wonderful musician. Was very happy to pick this up. The only other thing they had that was even worth looking at, was the only other thing left. Everything else was junk for my taste, and I mean, there wasn't hardly anything. And so I went ahead and grabbed this, because I like 2 songs that I'd been seeing on video by this band, which turns out those songs are on this album, but The War on Drugs, A Deeper Understanding, band from Philadelphia, I understand. Kurt Weill was originally in this band. I like Kurt Weill, don't have any of his records, but I like him. Oh man, I like this, you know what I'm saying? Now the deal is, I catch a little bit of his words, but it isn't even the words. I can feel the brother man. I can feel him. And the music is, I love it. It's so heartfelt, It really is. And I like the album before this. I just never bought anything by them. So this was half price, double album. This was $15. So I got a couple of new pieces of vinyl. And it was also something I was kind of reflecting on, a thought that escapes me to talk about. A big part of record collecting for most of us, and I will say us, is the act of buying the records. I just recently saw some, either a post or an article where I saw a quote where the person said, "I almost like buying records more than I like listening to them." Now the reverse is for me the truth, but I reflect on the times when I've been able to buy bulk. And there's been a few times when there were like sales and I had the money, or just something happened and I was able to just get a large amount of records. And how wonderful that whole experience was of just going through and unwrapping, unsealing, putting on for the first time, or just, what did I get, Fantastic, And then also, I'm not immune to the whole therapeutic act of shopping, which, I think it's fairly universal. I know it's definitely a big part of what, economic culture. We feel good for the most part when we can spend money, especially when we can spend it on ourselves, on, like an indulgence. And records is a great one for that. So it was fun to spend some money on records today. But I am really glad that the ultimate experience about all this comes back to the original thing, which is music, and just how much it transforms things. I just makes me reflect on, my last video and some of the comments, and I love you people, I really do. It seems like there's a couple folks who will just try to flip me shit, and it's like the thing that this message is for you folks, because I know you continue to watch me. It's like, it's cool that, you share yourself with me, but remember, you're just sharing yourself with me, you're sharing you, how you see, nobody's a fucking expert. That's just how I see it, it's like, it's not like I'm not valuing what other people have to say. It's just like, I'm just at a point where it's like, you can be critical of what you think of what I say, and I just, you can do it. It's not whether I care or not. It's like, you can go ahead and do that, that's what's going on with you. Do you get it? Nobody come over here telling me something that's going to fix my gaze. And I do think that, many people, there's all kinds of people with all kinds of ways and ways of looking. People will share. My brother, for example, who's a Gemini. I love my brother Patrick. We have very interesting conversations. He's a good example. He will say some things, Geminis love to communicate. And sometimes he'll get on kind of like a rant or a preach. And he'll make declarations. And he'll say things that really make him feel good. And it'll sound good. And it's like things will be making sense. But he'll actually be coming across like, well, now that I've said it, it's real. Now that I've said it, that's what you think, right? Well, now that I've said it, this is reality. And it's like, there's a lot of people that are like that. They'll come and they'll get what they get from you, or they'll take what they want from what they see from another person, and then they'll use that to give their input, their feedback, or their smackdown, or their criticism, or whatever it is, whatever. It's all cool with me, you know what I'm saying? Because we all got to be who we are. I'm just thankful I'm at the point that it's like, I've got no reason to excuse or be concerned about how I'm living and what I'm saying to anybody. This is, anyone, even the people who applaud you. I mean, we appreciate that. But at the same time, if I were foolish enough to try to shape myself according to the applause, like, oh, these people really know who I am, what an ass I would be, We like affirmation and positive energy input, but we're still what we really are, and everyone just has their impression. So I just throw that out there about the videos and the interactions going on here, It's cool. It's cool. I appreciate hearing from all of you. It's just very few things that I delete in the last few, only just a couple things, because it was just like, what I got was, well, the person didn't hear me, they heard themselves. They got to a point in what I was saying and hit a wall because of what they're thinking, assuming that's what I mean, which I can tell by their deleted comment that, well, that ain't where I'm coming from. I did have to I had to slow myself down and look for a second time at a comment from my brother, Brett Harold Hart, who I've never met, but I know that man is my brother, regarding my last video. And it's like, oh, I see, yeah, he does get it. I was at first, because my stance is dealing with people is almost like, you're ready to deal, you know what I'm saying? And so my first thought was he thought I was being condescending to white people, which is no, which is not the case. And he was actually just saying that he can see, yeah, the whole deal about the colonial deal is rather condescending, isn't it? Thank you, brother. Didn't catch that right away. That is exactly the whole deal, And again, I'll say it with all, and also L.E., thank you, I love hearing from you. Try to put all these thoughts together, because you chimed in on the same thing, saying, well, yeah, I wish I could say to you that it's not all that bad, Dereck, but it is. And so it's like, kind of in retrospect of the whole colonial thing that I talk about, with the dominant white culture that we've been dealing with and still are. Interesting how, as I grew up as a kid, in movies and stuff, and historically, the whole perspective of white European Western towards Africa and the Eastern was that we were the uncivilized, or we're the ancient cultures, and they would use the word savages, even with American Indians, right? And yet, I dare say, and if this rankles you, it's because it's true. Look who the real savages are. I'll say, and okay, I got music, but see, it's New Year's Eve and it's my channel, and I said, I'm just going to go. I'm feeling good. Got a nice buzz. Someone had left a comment. It was one that I deleted. It was like, this is bullshit. It's the one where it's like they heard what they wanted to hear. Can I actually come back to me and talk about, some bigwig making big donations, as though somehow that somehow makes a difference on how I see things, as though I don't know that. It makes no difference. It's not about bigwigs donating. It's about the whole idea of, I'll say it again, it's very clear to me, that, the flow of the flow of the world is based on materialism, And we could be doing all this stuff that we do, including collecting these records and having all this stuff, without being materialistic to the point that it drives behaviors of societies to the point that it creates so much poverty. Poverty is man-made. So see, that's where I always come back to this stuff. And that's why I'm not going to give any credit to the way things are. I don't, it's like we could be having good economics without having all this greed and all this suffering and all this homelessness and all this division and all this racism and sexism. Come on, are you kidding me? And common, I'm gonna say it because I feel it. Common idiots don't see the connection. It's all connected. It's all tied together. The recent highly publicized attacks against Jewish people, right when they're having a celebration, all that crazy shit. You know what I'm saying? All this shit's connected to how we're living. And it's the way it is, but it ain't got to be this way. So I just always going to say that because I think it's a very good point, and it makes a difference to me to have that as a point of focus as opposed to being a greedy fucker. Greedy fucking materialist. Okay. Still with me? Don't even matter. I'm just making this video, see? I'm in the comfort of my home. Some people, no, you don't feel crazy talking to a camera. We've been doing this for a long time now. We love it, don't we? Okay, some records that have been played and some other stuff. I just played some of this. It's a new age kind of record. Paul Vornhagen and Stefan Kukurugya, Enlightened Sector. This is something I picked up. It's on the Inner Light Records. I got Michael Bieriello, guitarist. I picked up an album of his on this label, which I just absolutely love, and looked into it, and they only had a few other releases. So, and then because of something like this and promos, as they're trying to get the radio stations to play it, you come across them. So I would just pick up everything on the Inner Light label. This one is about a third what I like. There's a couple of pieces on here. Improving Our Vision is one, where it's reflective. It's not too light. It's one of the things I don't like about New Age music is where it's like it's trying to almost invoke this fake. It feels fake, like fake happiness. It doesn't feel. It feels forced. It just doesn't feel. Anyway, I just explained to you what I like, the reflective. Played that. Pulled this because I'm going to play it. Someone sent this to me. It's a German thing, Eiszeit, space rock. I liked this when they sent it to me. I haven't played it since then. Great cover, huh? So I pulled this to play. I just played one side of this. The title side. It's a side-long piece. It's a Wonderful Life by guitarist Henry Kaiser, American guitarist who has quite a technique and his own approach. He can do many different things with the guitar, make it sound all kinds of ways. This was really cool. There's a textural thing going on with the way he's going through this piece, where part of the composition is not just the melody, but it's the sound of how he's playing the different parts of the song on the guitar. Very interesting. Very interesting. Last night, I put some records away, darn it. And it reminds me, if I can remember to pull, oh, it's out there in the other room. Okay. Played this last night. German space rock band, Eloy. We've got several of their albums. Silent Cries and Mighty Echoes. This is awfully good. Epic, kind of proggy. Epic proggy. The vocals are, I don't, you know, this guy's voice, I think it's the guitarist who is the main guy from the band still with them. I just like the sound of his voice, so that was nice on this. But the music, this is just great. Let me just write quick show. It's on the Harvest label, but it's cool that the lettering, which is usually in black, is green on this one. Nerdy little shit, isn't it? That was enjoyable last night. That was after listening to On the Corner by Miles Davis, which I actually kind of cheated and just played on the through the computer, but I have the album right here. It's such a favorite that I do know exactly where this album is. You know, there are records in my collection that I know exactly where they are. And this is just a monster groove of an album. I just love On the Corner, 1972. You know, speaking of music, of more musicians and beloved artists dying, we lost another one that hardly anyone knows about, but I happen to know about this guy. Jazz guitarist Vic Juris just passed away, I think yesterday or the day before. And this is his debut album, Roadsong, on Muse. This came out in 1978. The post about him came to my attention because it was linked with a video of Vic Juris not that long ago playing along with the jazz guitarist Dave Stryker. And Dave Stryker is a former Omahan who I've played with in the past, back when I was playing drums and playing jazz. Used to play jams with Dave. But Vic just passed away, so I played this. Wonderful guitarist, really got that technique in the Jim Hall, Barney Kessel, Joe Pass, Pat Martino school, you know, articulate, and he can jam, and passionate. That's the other thing I noticed about his playing, is that he get these flights of passion. I love that. And when you can get past just showing your skill and the music takes over, I love that. Which reminds me of another thing. I'm going to keep going here. In looking at stuff, I can't remember his name. I'd look it up. I might try to look it up. I came across some teenage guitarist who has a big puffy afro and plays some amazing guitar. I don't know how I discovered this, but I'm going to see if I can. Some of you people probably know what I'm talking about, but I watched him doing some. I'm going to try to look it up. He was playing. It was with his band playing in session. I've done these things at a radio station or whatever. Just give me. And again, Happy New Year, everyone. I'm to try to find this. I've been looking at all kinds of stuff. I was watching some Order to One Drugs. There it is. Vic Juris and Dave Stryker. Yeah. Oh, Taz Niederauer. Brandon Taz Niederauer. I bet you some of you guys know about this guy. He really can play. I mean, damn. Yeah. Ooh, that was like, ooh, that brother can play at his age. And it's not, to me, like, amazing that he can play at that age. It's like, thank God, you know, that it's still happening, because it's the way it ought to be, you know. We remark about child prodigies who are like 5 and 6 and can play the classics, but it's already known through, you know, like Japanese School of Suzuki and other places like China. I can't think where all that you can teach, and everyone can play classical music. It's like, it's not to belittle it, but it's more like, oh, it's just wonderful to see, you know, young people with blazing talent and music just exploding out of them. I like that. I don't know if I would want to have his records, but I sure didn't enjoy listening to him play. I'd love to see him play live. Okay, now this was interesting, because last night I just had a really wonderful evening. After Miles Davis, I played that other record, and then this just really fit, and I ended up playing the whole thing. Dead Can Dance, Spiritchaser. A recent edition on vinyl. I've had it since it was released on CD. I was watching another BC member, the guy with the hat. I can't think of his name. Respectable guy. I'd have to look him up. He did a thing on Von Albert. His collection is amazing. But I don't know. He brought that to mind. How there was a time when CDs was the thing to buy, and I was like that in the '90s. Into the '80s, into the '90s. I had taken my record collection for granted for years. Actually, I'll be honest about it. But this was, I love Dead Can Dance, but this is not as somber as some of the other records. It's not like it's celebratory. It's more, and it's not like it's like fire dance. That's what comes to mind. And I know what that is because I've actually done it many times, actual fire dancing and drumming, till dawn around the fire. It is a celebration, yeah, but that doesn't the word that comes to mind from listening to this last night. It was just great. It was just great. So that's what I played there then, more, because it's the afternoon and I can let this load up however long it goes. I did a blind pull today as I was getting my morning going. Because I would have never played this. If I had looked at the spine, I wouldn't have played this. Now, I like the Stranglers, but I probably picked this up for maybe $1 or something. But it's a solo album by him. Black Hair, Black Eyes, Black Suit by Hugh Cornwell. This came out in 1999. I like the Stranglers. Never seen them live. I've never seen them. I wish I got to see the Stranglers. I didn't. Really like this. It's pop. But it's the thing that I liked about the Stranglers. It's very. I guess the word is adult, and there's also a really, really dry sense of humor that I catch on some of these that I like. It's interesting we're idiosyncratic. Funny isn't funny across the board. It really isn't. There's a song in here where he is talking about preparing snapper. Fish, you ever had it? I love it. But it's like, as I'm listening to this great music, it's like, fucker's talking about fixing some snapper. Really enjoyed this. Hung out with my brother yesterday. I'm so glad my brother's in town. Most of my family's in California. My brother and I just love him. We have the greatest discussions, and he helps me because he's sharp, but he, like I said, he's like a Gemini. He likes to make declarations, and so we'll be discussing something, and then he'll start to make this declaration, and I'll say, it's like, Patrick, you're just kind of catching up to what I just said. No offense. It's just literally what happens, because we'll both chuckle after I kind of throw it at him. Says, why are you asking that? I already answered. That's what I just said. It's funny. But as part of the visit, we were watching some Miles and got to talking about In a Silent Way. And I told my brother the story because he didn't know that the In a Silent Way, which is written by Zawinul, that is famous on the Miles Davis album, is not the actual composition. And also the story about when they recorded it, when they were done with the sessions, Zawinul was pissed, because they didn't take it through his changes, which are amazingly beautiful. And Patrick had never heard the story, so we were laughing about that, and he said, well, really? I thought that was it. I had never heard, and my brother said, as far as he's concerned, and as far as playing, he's a jazz. He can play the hell out of jazz, but he thinks of himself as a jazz expert. He is to a degree, but he had never heard the complete In a Silent Way. So I pulled this. I have it on vinyl, but this is one of my Desert Island records. I played the actual composition In a Silent Way, by Joe Zono, which is on here, which is absolutely gorgeous. And the proof in the pudding is, you know, my brother, even though he's a couple years younger than me, he's old school jazz head, black man jazz head. I don't mean that stereotypical. If it sounds that way to someone, you don't know what I mean. Some of you other people know what I mean. I bet you Brett, you know what I mean? Michael Dawson, I bet you know what I mean. Some of the others, when I say that, he's old school. And he don't take no bullshit when it comes to music. A lot of what I like when it comes to rock, because he's not into rock, even when it's good, he just doesn't have patience for it. But he can discern good music, especially when it comes to classical music and jazz. So when I played this for him, his reaction, it would have been something worth capturing on camera. It stopped him. Whoa. When it went to the first change, Wayne Shorter's playing on this, and Joe Zono and Herbie Hancock. You know, when they get to the first, I forget what you would call it, you know, if there's musical terminology. My brother just melted. And then when they got to the next part, he just about cried. It's one of my Desert Island favorite albums, Zawinul by Joe Zawinul. I just have so many wonderful memories of that music saving my life, literally, mentally, and emotionally as a teenager, you know. I was so suicidal, guys. I tell you, I'm a suicide survivor. Several attempts. These have healed. They don't show anymore. You know, but anyway, music is the healer. Okay, so as you can see, I'm enjoying myself. I wanted to share with you. I could keep going, couldn't I? But the deal is I don't want this to take forever to load up. But I'll just be sitting there thinking about all this music. I'd love to show this. And then it's like, you know, you don't have the time. Okay. That's the way to go out.